Good morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. I've got some Israel updates, some Israel headlines, some news about the peace plan, and other things going on in the Middle East. Now, the latest news about the U.S. and Turkey is that Turkey's looking to get the S-400 surface-to-air defense system, and Trump and the administration, the U.S. in general, is basically promising sanctions if they go ahead with that. So that's kind of a side issue because we know Turkey is involved with Russia, Gog, Magog, Iran, and Libya, and the other nations that are allied together that come against Israel in the last days as it relates to Ezekiel 38:39. So Turkey is quickly turning away. They were part of NATO at one time. I'm not sure if they're technically part of NATO at this point in time or not, but certainly politically they are against Western nations generally and NATO, and they are certainly going with or aligning with Iran and Russia as of late. This article is from Times of Israel. This is an update on the peace plan. We're expecting this to come out soon, and they're apparently now ready to discuss a timeline for release. Trump to discuss the launch of the MIDEAST peace plan with advisors this week, it says. So this is from November 18th. Let's see, the details of it are Trump will meet with top advisors this week to review his administration's Israeli-Palestinian peace plan. Now, the latest news about this is they weren't going to release this because of possible Israeli elections, but apparently the Israeli elections have now been put off. They're not imminent, and which means two things. If Netanyahu's not going to call a snap election, and I'm seeing headlines to suggest that snap elections are now off the table, that means the peace plan can be implemented, and that also means that Israel could go to war. Just updating something else there. So Israel now has the ability now to do something in Gaza or even Syria now that an election is not imminent. So look for some military strikes imminently in the very near future, next couple of days, because that's not coming. I'm just updating some a technical support person for some hosting issues, all part of the problem. By the way, if you want to check out my site is micahgallant.com, MICAHGALLANT.com, and it has all the posts of my YouTube videos. You can check it out there. You can also find out how to support the channel. There's a support link on the page, and you can find out how you can support me if you would like to support me. So this goes on. The meeting will be attended by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, National Security Advisor John Bolton, Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner, who is, of course, leading the plan with Jason Greenblatt. U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman traveled to Washington to attend the meeting as well. So the fact that this has escalated to Trump's office and now he has all the main people, it sounds like Kushner and Greenblatt are now ready to go ahead. Now they're calling in the big guns to get the go-ahead, Trump, i.e., and John Bolton, security advisors. They're looking at this and seeing, security-wise, this is a good time to present the peace plan. So I think we're going to see some movement on this now that kind of the big hitters are now called into the table, and Kushner is basically saying, all right, we're ready to go. Now let's get the big wigs in here to give us the go-ahead on the final release of the details. U.S. officials told the news channel that's reporting this that Trump wants to see the peace plan rolled out by February. So that's the new timeline. His advisors favor taking a more cautious approach in light of the political crisis engulfing Israel, the potential elections, which are now not imminent. The potential collapse of Netanyahu's government would be a key factor in deciding when the U.S. proposal would be unveiled. Of course, this is a couple days old. The latest information is that Netanyahu will not call snap elections. Although the Trump administration has been touting its peace plan for months, details of it have been scant, and the Palestinians have vowed not to cooperate with U.S. efforts. So that's kind of the update on the timeline. I think now that snap elections in Israel are not imminent, this could be coming sooner than later. I've got a Debka file article, and I want to I'll bring this one up. I'll share this with you. Let's see. Let's get rid of the image here. Here is the Debka.com article, and it's about the snap election. Jewish home ministers call off walkout. No snap election. This is November 19th, 2018. Netanyahu rides out cabinet crisis with expected Gaza move. So now that now there are no snap elections, Netanyahu is free to get some work done in Gaza. So there's it looks to be an escalation potential there. Bennett and Shaked, the education and justice minister, surprised on Monday, November 19th, by announcing their Jewish Home Party would stay in government if Netanyahu stood by his pledge to reverse the hesitant and stammering security policy of the last decade and switch to a creative, proactive course for leading the country to victory. The two ministers spoke at a special news conference they called in the Knesset, at which they were widely predicted to announce their resignation. So they're kind of playing a bit of a game there, a bit of a game of chicken there, and so they didn't actually pull out. It says, for the past decade, our soldiers have been held back by one constraint after another and taught to fear military prosecutor more than the enemy, Bennett said in a detailed indictment of the Netanyahu government security policy. Hamas and Hezbollah became more brazen day by day because they sensed our fear, whereas our enemies no longer feared us, Bennett said. However, if Netanyahu pledges to change course with Syria's, Jewish Home would not desert the ship of the government, but support him in defense minister unconditionally. This looks like a blank check, effectively, to ratchet up security and to march into Gaza and do what needs to be done. The state of Israel is too precious for us to walk away without this test, it says. Shaked accused Lieberman of handing Hamas a prize by his resignation as defense minister last week, leaving the government with a minuscule majority. We won't give the terrorists another gift by running out of the government. So they're supporting the government, and they're staying strong, and they're basically giving Netanyahu now a mandate not to call elections and to also do something in Gaza. It says, she said, the Middle East is watching us. It was evident that Prime Minister had pulled the two ministers back from quitting by assuring them that a security option was still unfinished, and their resignations now would be irresponsible in national terms. So what does this mean? I think a military conflict is imminent and coming up with these, with the fact that these ministers are not resigning, and the fact that Netanyahu now does not have to call elections. It finishes up here by saying Israel's next move in the Gaza Strip is now tensely awaited. Read imminent, coming very shortly. The Palestinian Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists ruling the Gaza Strip, who were already celebrating success in maneuvering Israel into pre-election mode, must now prepare for Israel's next military option. So now they're going to be caught off guard, and I think we're going to see a significant strike there. Remember, it's in Israel's best interest to tamp down Gaza so that they're not fighting multiple fronts. And once they deal with Gaza in a more significant and strong-armed fashion and create a little bit of peace there for at least a couple of months, then they can focus on the northern border and the situation back in Syria. We still have not heard of any significant military strike in Syria. It's been coming on 2 months now where Israel has not went into Syria and did a major strike and got rid of weapons in Lebanon. Lebanon has a new missile factory. The latest news is that Lebanon is now coming out and asking Russia to cover its country with the missile shield, with the S-300 missile shield and the radar jamming systems that Russia now controls in Syria. That will make it even harder, because now, currently, without the cover of the missile shields, Israel could fly around the Mediterranean and fly into Lebanon and do some damage. But Lebanon, like I say, is now calling on Russia to cover it with air defenses. And so Israel is really backed into a corner now. It appears that they don't really have a lot of good options. not a lot of safe options, and any option they do select could cause Russian soldiers to be killed. And of course, that is Russia's red line. If a Russian soldier is killed, which they have everywhere in Syria now, that they will bring their conventional and nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons that Russia stated that was their red line, that they would bring their nuclear weapons to bear against the country that killed any Russian servicemen in the area. Or even, I think they even expanded to say, if you kill the military of our allies as well, which are Iran and Turkey, and of course the other nations as well. So these are the updates happening. I think we're going to see a Gaza strike. Now that elections are off the table, I think we're going to see a peace process. Maybe what is likely to happen first is more war, and then all the countries of the world will be calling for peace, peace, please bring in peace. And that will prompt, whether it be Trump or Macron, to bring in their peace platforms once the world is really calling for and screaming for peace. And then we're going to see some interesting biblically prophetic things come to pass. So these are the updates from Israel, the Middle East, the situation there, and some interesting stuff going on. Along with this, you have turbulence in the global economy. You have Saudi Arabia looking to cut the barrels of oil, the production of barrels of oil, to increase the price of oil. You have other countries in the Middle East, Iran, etc., stopping the use of the U.S. dollar as a world reserve currency. And if I just read an article today that if the U.S. loses world reserve currency status, the U.S. dollar will go down 30%. And I think that would just be the start of it, the tip of the iceberg. I think we would see a cascade, because the U.S. would not then be able to afford all its 40 trillion, well, not 40 trillion, that's after Trump's reign in office, I guess, 22 trillion or whatever it is right now. They wouldn't be able to afford to pay the interest on that debt if they were not still the world reserve currency. So these are the headlines, these are the updates coming out of Israel related to the peace process and war and rumors of war. Be prepared, guys. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, He died 2,000 years ago for my sin and your sin. He's coming back soon, and He's going to bring judgment. But before that, though, there's going to be tribulation, the world's tribulation, the trouble that the world brings upon itself and causes by themselves through war and famine, etc. And hard times are coming, and I think we're less than 10 years away from the return of the Lord. We're less than 2 years, I think, from the start of the 7-year tribulation. I'll leave it there for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Please support and share the videos. People need to hear the gospel. They need to hear that the Lord is returning soon. Their eyes need to be opened to the events that are occurring in these last days. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.